In this lab, we will be exploring the relationship between concentration and density. Before starting the lab, we need to make sure we follow lab safety. These 3 pictures include proper lab attire. Long hair should be pulled back and away from face, long pants should be worn, long sleeves should also be worn, so should closed-toed shoes and lab goggles. Proper lab protocol includes washing your tools with distilled water before and after use, as well as cleaning up any spills. In this clip, Maya is washing and rinsing a graduated pipette 3 times with distilled water. In this clip, we can see that Kaylee has put the beaker on the scale and zeroed it after she put it on. She then uses the graduated pipette and the bulb to get a measurement of her stock solution. Be sure not to include any stock solution in your bulb. In order to get the initial volume of her measurement, she brings the graduated pipette up to eye level to get a clear view of the meniscus. She reads the volume out loud for Caitlin to write down in her lab journal. She then drops a random amount of stock solution into the beaker. She takes the final volume and subtracts that from the initial volume. Then, Caitlin writes down the mass of what was dropped into the beaker. In order to get a proper measurement, we need to be able to read the meniscus. It is the curved liquid part in a graduated cylinder. You need to bring it to eye level and read the lowest part of the curve. In this clip, Layla is using a graduated cylinder to measure out some of the more of the stock solution. As you can see here, she gets down to eye level to read the meniscus. After recording the initial volume, she then pours some distilled water using a graduated pipette into the graduated cylinder. Remember, when using a bulb and a graduated pipette, be sure not to get any of the solution into the bulb. She then records the final volume for future reference. In this clip, Layla is using a graduated flask to record the initial volume of the concentration solution. She uses the graduated pipette and the bulb to drop a random amount of the distilled water into the flask. It's the exact same process as before when using the graduated cylinder. The point of using the flask and the cylinder was to compare and contrast how accurate each measurement would be. Kaylee is measuring the distilled water in the stock solution. She's using a scale to measure the mass. She places the beaker on the scale and zeroes it, and she then pours the solution into the scale. When taking the measurements from the scale, use the number that is shown the most. More numbers will flash, but either use the average or use the most seen number. Once we finish gathering our measurements, we use the dilution calculation to find the final concentration. The dilution calculation can be seen on screen.